Piper.
Hi Tim, Mike Persian Adelaide again. How you doing?
Good, mate. How you going? All right?
Good, good. You ready to roll?
Yeah, mate.
All right, let's get into it. Tim Piper, a great pleasure to have you on the show, mate. How you doing today?
I'm not doing too bad at all. How you going?
Very well. It's a pleasure to say hello. Your name's popped up quite a bit lately with some of the esteemed Australian musicians that I've had the pleasure of having on the show, and I thought it popped up again with the reissue of Chain Live, and I thought good excuse to say hello.
Oh, great, mate. I'm so happy to be in such esteemed company.
Well, your old partner in crime, Mike Rudd, was on the show a little while ago and mentioned your name, and of course spoke most highly of you.
Oh, good on you, mate. I'll tell him I'll send the check around next week.
Because you just come back from a bit of a reunion show with with the Chance guys in New Zealand.
Yeah, we did a couple of shows over the place where, well, the city where we started off at, and they came off really well. It was going back to 1965. It's like the years they all fell away, and it was just like it used to be, really.
And that was in Christchurch.
Yeah, Christchurch, yeah.
So it's amazing how many musicians, sort of late 60s, early 70s, made the trip from New Zealand, and we tend to claim so many of you guys as their own, but when you actually look at the names of guys that came across the Tasman at that time, there's a lot of talented people indeed.
Exactly, mate. There was a good music thing happening in New Zealand, but obviously it's such a small place that there's a mass exodus. A lot of them ended up here. I think New Zealand has had a different sort of different perception of music to what was going on here. Like it's a totally different thing, but it seemed to work over here too, which was good.
So what was the event that tipped it for you to come over to Australia?
Look, everybody was doing it. I mean, it was the sort of thing. I guess people here always thought that when they got their stuff together here, that they'd go to the US or the UK. But in New Zealand, the first stepping stone obviously was like it's a small place. I mean, you did 3 cities and that was it. And so once you'd done that, you thought you were big enough and tough enough and you were good enough, you'd come over here.
So did you come over with a working band at the time?
Yeah, I did. It was a band called the Electric Heap. It was with Bruno Lawrence, the drummer and actor /
Oh yes.
And Claude Pappas, a blind organist, a keyboard player, played both piano, organ, whatever, and a terrific band. I played bass and guitar, and we wrote a few of our own songs, and we had a good repertoire. It was a good band.
And Claude, of course, went into play in Chain with you.
Yep, that's right. And after that band ran its course, I think Bruno found something else to do. I can't remember what it was. Claude and I were sort of like living in the Plaza Hotel in the Cross, and it's sort of actually Warren Morgan and Phil Manning had sort of we'd crossed paths quite a few times, and they were sort of fans of us, and we sort of liked what they did. And, eventually we all got together and got that thing happening.
Claude, very sadly, is no longer with us, but he had an exceptionally unique organ sort of sound, didn't he? It was a very distinctive player.
I think the sound was pretty much the sound that most people got out of a Hammond B3, which is the big mother humper, and but he had a very distinctive style, of playing. Yeah, for sure.
And I mentioned the re-release of Chain Live before, and as the good people at Aztec Music often do with reissues of this type, they're thrown in some goodies, and one of the goodies on that release is I think Chain's first single featuring Claude and yourself.
That's right, Mr. Time, and don't tell me, it was Mr. Time, Show Me the Way Home.
So was that actually the first single?
Yeah, it was. I think it was, as far as I know, it was the one and only thing that I ever got onto record with the Chain, with Claude and I. Unless there was something else. You mentioned some live recordings or some live Chain.
Well, the reissue is the album that was made, I think, after Claude and you had left.
Oh yeah.
About late 69, 1970. So what they've done is is reissued that and thrown a couple of things like this single on it.
Bonus tracks, yeah.
Yeah, which I guess 99% of the population wouldn't even know it existed. So it's an absolute gem.
They were two good tracks. I mean, I think they were recorded up here at Festival Records. I could be wrong. I remember recording them, but at that stage we were all going through our band thing. You know, we were really into the American band, Bob Dylan band, Jamie, Robbie Robertson, and all those guys. Levon Helman, and we were all really strongly influenced by that. And you can hear it in the style of the composition and the playing and everything. It had our stuff going on there too. But yeah, I remember doing that. And they were two good tracks. I think Phil and Warren wrote them. But we all, as I say, we all had input into it. Ace Follington was the drummer. I played bass and a bit of guitar, and Phil and I used to swap between the two of them, and Warren and Claude, yeah.
So how did you catch up with those guys in Chain back in those early days?
Well, when we first arrived in Melbourne, in about 68 or whatever it was, Chain were sort of like a very popular band. They're quite a big band, and everybody went to see the Chain. You know, like we wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Phil Manning was touted as one of the best blues guitar players ever.
And rightly so.
Well, one of the best white blues players. If he wasn't the best, he certainly was the whitest. But you know, so we saw them. We got to know them through playing at Birdie's and Sebastian's, all those places in Melbourne. So that's where that started.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it was pretty much straight after that you ended up playing with the Wild Cherries and the late great Lobby Lloyd.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Lobby left, and there was Barry Sullivan and Barry Harvey, Big and Little Goose, and Brian, somebody rather, was the singer. Lobby left, and there was a position there. So yeah, that was me. I played guitar for them for a while. Yeah.
Was there much recording come out of that band for your time in that band?
No. It was just the name, mate. You know, like the Wild Cherries. It was the band. It's sort of like been about 15 different bloody incarnations since the original, and they just sort of had the name, and it was a handy band. I mean, we sounded good. We played a lot of. I remember we used to play a lot of Albert King songs. We're all into the Albert King album that he made with Booker T and the MGs in Memphis, Friday the 13th, or Born Under a Bad Sign. Sorry, it was, yeah.
And your name, I guess, is most well known to me, and maybe a lot of folks that it may prick their ears up. But you worked quite a bit over the years with Rene Gaia.
Yep, I worked in a few of her different bands.
Yeah. What happened in the period between the Wild Cherries and working for Rene? Did you do much?
Oh,
too much to remember?
Yeah, look, I did actually. I think when that thing finished with the Wild Cherries, like we were sort of based in Melbourne. I came back to Sydney and I started playing. I actually ended up playing with Claude again too. Claude and I had a few different things. We sort of had these sort of bands with moving populations. We just sort of hire people. We worked with Alison McCallum as singer. She was sort of the mainstay. We had different people, different drummers and bass players and what have you. And I did a lot of stuff around here. Nothing very well known. I ended up working the Cross with a band that we used to work 10 hours a day with 6 days a week in the R&R times with the Vietnam soldiers coming across here. And that was great. No, it was all good. It was nothing of note, really.
What was that band called, Tim?
It was called Hamel.
Okay.
Hamul. It was a bunch of New Zealanders. It was a guy named Evan Silver that he came over with a band called Action from Auckland, and they were a very good band. We were doing some soul, sort of R&B sort of stuff, and the American guys used to dig it. They used to come down and watch us at this place. It was good fun.
Yeah, I recently had the pleasure of having Barry McCaskill, a famous Adelaide R&B name, and he, of course, with the Clefs, spent a lot of time in the Cross about that time, and he did go. He said it was a very special time to be playing music there, indeed.
Yeah, mate, it was. It was terrific. It was like, it was the Cross. The Cross is famous, but it was a terrific time. It was like there was a lot going on, and there's always some action somewhere, and quite a few good bands around. The Whiskey down the road, Whiskey Go Go, the
And I also remember, correct me if I'm wrong, your name popping up with Blackfeather at some stage.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Well, that was another thing too. Blackfeather, they had that single, Mountains of Madness or whatever it was, and they did the album, and then they did Bopping the Blues, which was sort of like a big departure from how they, John Robinson, how they originally started, with that. Then it was the same thing. It was just sort of basically they still had the name, but that band had changed a bit. And when I joined it, they were Neil Johns. It sort of heard me play, and he wanted to go in a different direction with that band. Like more of a, for lack of a better term, a progressive blues sort of thing, which is a funny term, but. Like when I joined, they sort of changed the repertoire, and we changed it around a bit. Yeah, so we did that. We did some we worked quite a lot actually. And
I believe you've been fairly heavily into teaching in recent years.
Oh yeah, mate. Like most musicians end up there. If you want to sort of keep in touch with that side of things. Like I still play. I don't do many gigs. It's a different story now. With the sort of music that I play. There's not a lot of people out there that really want to go along and watch. But yeah, I still teach. I mean, I've been teaching for 20 years or so, and it's good. I like teaching. I still play at home. I've got the stuff that I've always enjoyed playing. That I still play blues, acoustic stuff. Robert Johnson, Bill Brunsey, all that sort of thing.
Good stuff indeed. I've got a 15-year-old son, and I'm gently trying to teach him some of that stuff.
Yeah.
So this is where it all come from, lad.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I mean, I think a lot of people miss the point with it. With a lot of it, they didn't see the subtleties and the craft in it. Since I've been playing guitar for a long time, and I started playing some of that, I went, God damn, this is like, it's very intricate. Sort of bass, mid, and top voices. Melodies on the top of the guitar, chords in the middle, and like a bass movement. So that keeps me going.
Wonderful stuff. All right, mate. It's been a pleasure to say hello, and thank you so much for your time. And as I said at the top of the show, there's a few little bits and pieces of gems of yours floating around, and another one hidden away in this new release of Chain Live. So.
I'll keep an eye out for it, mate.
All righty. Thanks again, mate. Great to talk to you.
Right, mate. Same to you.
Can I get you to do a quick tag for me?
Tag?
Yeah. My show is called Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide.
Sitting in a bar in Adelaide, right.
If you can do me something along the lines of, this is Tim Piper and you're listening to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
Hi, this is Tim Piper. You're listening to Sitting in a Bar in Adelaide. Thanks very much for tuning in.